What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Lean and Lionhearted podcast. I'm your host, AJ Quimson, and I'm here with my good friend, Sage Caces, aka LL Cool Sage.
Oh, you're pulling that out. I appreciate that.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. And yourself?
I'm doing good, man. The reason I really want to bring you on is because Sage here just turned pro. What was it, like a week and a half ago?
Yeah, about 10 days a day. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So just turned pro 10 days ago. Welcome to the league. IFBB Pro, Sage Caces. How does that sound?
That sounds sweet, man. That sounds really nice. 'Cause, as you know, like we've talked about it before, man, I've been working towards this goal for a minute now, just grinding for this goal. So to finally hear that and to have it in existence,
Yeah.
feels good.
How many national shows have you done?
So this was number 5. So
Number
we
5.
were getting up there a little bit, but I
Yeah.
was like, okay, but 5 doesn't sound too bad when you think about it overall. So I was like, I'm good. I'm good with it.
Yeah, five's not terrible. I mean, we all know
Yeah.
some people that have done like 10, so you're not too bad.
Where were you at? Okay, so okay.
How old are you again?
I'm 27.
27. Okay, yeah. So you're still pretty young. Yeah. I turned pro when I was 25.
You're a couple years ahead of me. I think that's a decent time. Like I think it gets a little bit wonky when you start creeping up into the 30s and you're like, how much of a career can you have?
Yeah, and then you're also just like, well, do I just wait for masters? Am I that good? Am I not that good? But I really want to know, like,
And at
how
that
did
point,
it feel that day? Like when you woke up that day for the show, how were you feeling?
honestly, man, I was very much ready to go. This prep and it just I would say the theme of this prep was just I was very at peace. Um,
Mm,
just how things came together, the environment I was in, the way I was responding this prep versus last year, which we could get into later. But I was just very much at peace at the morning of the show. The peak came together well. I actually slept well the night of the show. I wasn't too angsty or like got only like 2 hours of sleep. So we were just ready to go, man. Yeah.
okay, damn. So you're super calm.
Absolutely. Like you could talk to any of the guys, my wife, even Ariel. I'll tell them like I'm here. I'm ready to go. I'm present. And I just wanted to go do this thing. And it
Yeah.
was honestly the most calm and confident that I was going into the show to where it's like I know this is my best, and if somebody truly beats me and bumps me out of the first or second spot, like hats off to them because I did what I could to again be just at my best for that show.
So were you calm because you were like, I'm taking this, or were you calm because you were like, I've done everything that I can. There's nothing else I could have done. It's gonna be what it's gonna be.
Most of it part I would say majority of it was that in terms of like when leading up to the shows, like I've done everything. I've literally just in my opinion, I probably had a perfect prep. Um, but the competitor in me, once we got to like the venue, once we were backstage, once I'm just like talking to myself in my head, once I have my music on, I was like, nah, nobody's beating me. Like I'm taking this.
Yeah.
Like this is mine. That
Was that
So
just
once we got into that space,
Mhm.
I shifted. But before that is what you were kind of talking about.
Okay? Was that just you getting in the zone, or was it because you scoped out everybody else and you're like, nah, nobody's touching me?
That was just me getting my zone. I wasn't really scoping out anybody. I was just with my people because obviously, Prob, he was doing the show. Will had a couple guys, so we were in our own little group, helping each other out, just being in our own environment. So I wasn't even worried like who's the guy over there or who's in my class. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So wasn't really getting caught up with it either.
Okay. So you said you had your headphones in. What were you listening to?
So um, you might even laugh. I have like a little mix, but it was a lot of Rick Ross, a lot of Drake, but at the same time, if you were to get into another space too, like I got heavy into my faith this year, very much so in terms of like I've always been a Christian. I lived in a Christian household, but this year was more so me taking my own steps. So, dude, I was listening to a lot of worship music. I was just like, there's a couple songs in particular that I would just in training, on cardio, backstage that I would just lock on repeat, and I would just play it over and over and over. So that's kind of what I had. It's called Champion by Dante Bowe. So that's what I had in my head.
Okay. Is I feel
Yeah,
like I've heard them sing that at Red Rocks like plenty of times.
that's where I found it. So like they
Yeah.
they played it, and I was like, dude, this is powerful. This is crazy.
Banger.
But then I
Yeah.
found like the original, and then that's what I just was rocking with.
Okay. Yeah. It sounds funny. I mean, like I guess it sounds funny, but a few months ago I was telling Billy, I was like, yeah, dude, I actually just only listen to Christian music right now. Like that's the only thing I listen to. I don't really listen to
Dude,
like I don't listen to music in general anymore unless it's like unless I'm like really trying to pull some energy out of the gym. But outside of that, I'm either listening to a podcast or I was listening to like some Christian rock like on like in the car. So I feel it. I feel it. It's like it's
yeah,
calming, but also it's got that build up. You get those emotions.
yeah, absolutely. And it's like sometimes like just veering off the topic a little bit, but like if I'm doing cardio, like I can't always do rap music, or if it's a little like,
Yeah.
especially like in the deep depths of prep when
Yeah.
everything works a little heavier. I need something to like uplift me. So
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was
that's
it was
funny.
cool.
When I used to prep, uh, when I at the end of preps, I would be listening to like Millennium, like barely, basically about to cry. I was just like visualizing the end, and I was like, dude, it's gonna be so sick when I walk off stage and everyone's gonna be there and we're gonna have a good time. Finally, I'm
Uh,
not gonna hurt.
I have a Let Me on my playlist. I'm not gonna lie to you,
Yeah,
because that's a good dope like build. Like their songs have like a good build up, and then
yeah,
it's like a good like happy feeling at the top of at the top of the song. So I don't blame you.
yeah. Those are good times, kind of. So like, how was the day of the show for you? Like, was everything going smoothly? Was it one of those days where everything was going wrong and you were just pushing through it?
The actual like show day.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, like I said, I think I couldn't have written it any better in terms of just like how things went, and it wasn't like, oh, it was just like it was the coolest thing ever, or like or all this happened in my that worked in my favor. Just a normal show day, but I think that's what was so nice about it. Everything was just smooth. Everything just happened the way it should, and like I couldn't complain about it. If I had to just really think back, I think the only like little hiccup we had was like trying to get food to us in prejudging. Just because we the show obviously ran longer than we thought it would. It was one of
Always.
those things where it was like I had 4 meals in me already and I was still going flat. Just
Oh,
because men's physique was the last division of the show for prejudging, and I would say we didn't even get on to like 2:33, and I started eating at like 6,
yeah.
5. Yeah, because we had a different approach to how Ariel had me eating the last couple days going into the show. So by the time it's 2:30, like shoot, now I need a fifth meal, and we had ran out of food, so we were just
Oh
like
shit.
sharing Pop Tarts. I had some banana bread in my gym bag that Alex baked. Um, so that was like the only little hiccup, and then um, they did it to where men's physique ended prejudging, but then also started finals. None of us again brought food because we thought we'd have time to go back, right?
Yeah.
So my wife, Alex, because Ariel wanted me to get steak and fries. So luckily there was like 3 restaurants down the street, and she ran to every single one just to get me steak and fries. And it was only like within a 30 minute to an hour time frame to where she had to order it, get it to me, let me eat it, and then be ready for finals.
Damn.
But again, it happens, right? Show day,
Yeah.
it just you kind of roll with the punches. So if that was the worst thing that was going to happen to us, I'll take it.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, now that you're a pro, you're not gonna have that problem. You know exactly what time you're going on stage.
11 a.m. baby, 12 p.m. Right?
Make it
No,
way
like no.
simpler. um, so I don't know how you are, but usually when I'm prepping, I have kind of like this main thought or this general theme that I'm kind of repeating to myself all the time in my head to get me through everything. Did you have one of those or?
Absolutely. For me, it was one just redemption. Um, like I kind of talked about earlier, I would say last year was probably my worst and hardest prep ever. Um, and my worst showing at nationals. In terms of look, I still placed like sixth at USA's. I think like eighth at North Americas. But in terms of the actual look, it was just the
Mm.
worst I've ever looked. And it was just because there were so many external factors that I had to deal with last year that was really, 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 really tough. I mean that what anything we tried to do in the prep, it was just me basically working up a hill. Um, so this year it was just more so, let me get back to what I know I can do, show what I actually can look like, have my body respond the way I know it should, and just again check all my boxes like I need to, and just get it back from run it back from last year. So that was one, and then two again. I'm I'm in a new spot. Like part of the reason we moved to Texas from California was just to kind of reset things and be in a place where like I could just have all my focus, my bodybuilding, my business, my family life, all in one place. My our squad, our community, all in one place, and then just really full send it. And so those were like the two things that in my brain was just like, this is what's pushing me towards that goal to really get the job done.
Okay. Did you have like a quote that was kind of hitting you?
A quote. I mean, my own motto that I've always ran through and what I run through every prep is everything earned. I mean, I post on my Instagram. I run that to in my own head. It's kind of how I live things by, right? Because I mean, when it comes to bodybuilding, you guys have or you've seen other people have seen how I started it, how I looked. Like I'm not really supposed to be a pro. Based on like if you looked at me as a coach, objectively speaking, when I started, I was like, what is your potential? And you don't go IFBB pro. It wouldn't make sense if you're being a coach that was honest and objective about how I looked in the beginning. But so that's kind of how I what the motto is, just kind of doing everything I can to earn what I want, and that's always been a running theme in my bodybuilding journey and just my life in general.
Okay, so you've had that since before bodybuilding.
Oh yeah, because I was an athlete before, I played basketball. I
I heard.
mean, I was solid. I was very, very solid, but at the same time, I was going to a high school where I had the kids of NBA players playing in my school. They were traveling from LA, commuting to the Valley to play at my school. You know what I mean? So, and I'm good friends with all of them. They're all very, very good people. But it's like even then, it's just like even on my own team, even as much I progressed in basketball, it's like I had to earn that shit. Sorry, I don't know if I can cuss on this, but
No, you're good.
I just had to earn everything I've ever wanted, honestly.
Okay, so you always felt like that chip on your shoulder, like everything's stacked against you, but if you want something, you're gonna go and get it.
Yes, I mean the chip on the shoulder. Yes, I don't know. I would be lying if I said like, oh, I had a life where everything's stacked against me. I've always had like a solid support system, a good family, people who back me. But at the same time, I feel like I was more so like overlooked, or was like the underdog in terms of like, oh, he's solid, he's cool, but he's not the guy.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
That's what I meant. Like,
and then
you're not the most genetically gifted athlete. You're not the guy that everyone just kind of runs like immediately says like that guy's gonna do something, but you knew that you were gonna do something.
right, or I'm gonna find a way, make a way, figure out a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. So let's talk about last prep, right? I remember you were dying. You looked miserable the whole time. Every time I saw you, I was like, damn, I know how that feels. What was that prep like?
Well, I mean, I'll just even just start with the prep itself, right? I mean, I'm not necessarily like I have a decent metabolism. I don't have the most crazy metabolism, but I have a good one to
So I've
where,
heard.
yeah, so where I don't necessarily have to be on low carb, zero carb, or run a ton of cardio. Like, but that last prep, just because of the factors we can go in that we'll go into, like I was on 70, 80 minutes of cardio. I think it had to be like 6 to 8 weeks. I think 8 weeks out, he just he just started pushing me on zero carbs. Well,
Mm,
before that, the carbs were already low, just because my body wasn't responding to how it normally would.
yeah.
Um, and why that was happening is, I would say the main reason, and this is not something I really talked about before, but I'll talk about here. My close friends and my family know everything, but my mom was in the hospital in the ICU for 3-4 months. And she stayed there in a coma. She had basically had brain bleed. She had just a random seizure built up from, they couldn't, even up to now, they haven't even really pinpointed it, but I think it was just stress related, COVID related, could be any of those, all those things compounded together. So that happened like 12 weeks out. Like I'm already in prep. Like we've already been digging for like 8 to 10 weeks. So that whole last 10 weeks, I'm spending my days literally prepping, but then and working, and then also going to the hospital every other day, every 3 days. We had like a rotation of myself, Alex, my auntie, her husband, who would just like my brother and sister, who would just like somebody would be with her every single day, even though she wasn't awake. She was. We would just sit there with her, and it was legit one of those things. Was like my mom might die or just not be the same. That was literally, and that was like throughout the whole prep. Along with that, my workload was the highest it's ever been. At the time, I was still personal training at a gym called Selfmade. I had about roughly like 15 to 18 clients throughout the week, trained 2, 3 times per week. But then my online coaching with Precision was also picking up. So I had about, at the time when everything was just kind of like going to shit, like 50, 55 clients. So I was trying to balance adapting to that workload, dealing with my mom's situation. And I was also starting to travel for shows. So that was a, like the stressors were just kind of compounding. And then obviously I'm still trying to balance the actual prep. So there's that. There was also like a minor health complication on my end that me and Ariel were trying to deal with that ended up not being a big thing. But even just having that like kind of like lingering over forced us to kind of be reserved in how hard we push things early on, and that just kind of again set me back even more. Yeah.
Okay. And didn't you get a third dog in that time too?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. So yeah, so I got a. I'm funny that you remember that. Yeah, so much was going on that's like the last thing I was even thinking about. But we have a third dog, and she's my baby, but she's the beast of the family. She's like a right under 100-pound Mastiff, massive German Shepherd mix. So she's not to be messed around with, and we had to make sure we trained her right because my 2 other dogs are on the smaller side. One's 50 pounds, one's 12 pounds. So if we weren't on our mom and dad duties with that, like she could fuck them up. And there's a couple really, 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 really close calls that now, like even now, I actually keep her separated so they don't ever interact. So my 2 dogs, they can hang out, they work, they live and work well together, they do their thing, but the other one is completely separated. So like in our house, if like you're looking at a living room, there's fences so that if 2 dogs are on one side, she's on the other side by herself, or vice versa. Or if she's in the bedroom hanging out with us, the 2 have to be outside. Like they can't live in harmony anymore, which kind of bums me out. But it's just it's her breed, so it is what it is. And they're all trained. Like I took all outside of the little one. The other 2 are trained, so they have the training patterns to behave and do what they need to do. It's not like they're crazy dogs, but it's just her actual breed that really causes her to be aggressive. And I can't take that chance with a 12-pound wiener dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I
hey, put
remember.
that one on top 2. Put that one on top 2. Decision.
Yeah.
It's not the best decision to have 3 dogs in general.
Yeah.
But I can't do anything about it, and I'm not gonna get rid of any of these fools, you know?
No, I know exactly what you mean. Mary and I, we were this close to getting a third dog, just because one of my clients, he was like posting on a story, does anybody want this Pomeranian Chihuahua mix? And obviously, Mary loves that. And we were
Right.
like, can we do it? Could we do it? We could probably do it. And then we were like this close to getting, and then we just didn't. But I specifically remember the dog thing because when I still lived in Austin, you came out and you stayed with Billy for, what was it, like a week or so? And I remember you
Yeah.
brought your other dog, and I asked you why. You're like, well, we got a third dog, so I can't leave them all with Alex.
Yeah, so even talking, like, going back to your initial question about last year's prep, like, I came to Texas for those. I think I was here about 7 to 10 days.
Yeah.
Just to literally, I was like, I was just talking to Billy about it. I was like, things are like really hard here, and he was nice enough to like extend like, man, if you want to come do a training camp here, not have to worry about anything, see if we can kind of right this ship for this prep, you're more than welcome. And he said that, and I was like, bet. And I bought a plane ticket, stayed at his place for that period of time, and just so it was like for those 7 to 10 days, right, I could just literally focus on my training, my diet, being in a space where I'm not so stressed 24/7 because of all the responsibilities I had. Yeah, so it was really cool of him to help to have him do that for me, because it was helpful to the extent. Obviously, it wasn't like we didn't get the job done last year, but we pulled out all the stops for that one too. And then with that being said, I think that's also what led me to just scrapping my personal training business, because I spent those 10 days. I was like, I'm working here and I'm making all the same money that I'm making, and I'm not spending 8 hours in a gym training people. I'm like, what am I doing? So I legit trained like, it was either the last day I was here in Austin or as soon as I got back to LA. I texted the owner of the gym I worked at, and I was like, I know I already paid rent. I'm not asking for it back, but I'm done after this. I'm done after this month. Like, don't charge me for another month. I'm done. And then yeah, that's when I kind of actually just shifted my whole business online and just fully invested in precision.
Damn. Okay. So
Yeah,
what made you want to keep going on that prep instead of just being like, dude, I got too much going on right now?
because I was like, that wasn't an option. That wasn't an option either. Like, it didn't even cross my mind like, oh, I'm gonna quit this prep. I was like, more of like, we're gonna get through this fucking prep. I'm gonna do what I need to do at Nationals, even though obviously, it wasn't even coming together. But in my head, I had to be in that kind of mindset, and I'm like, it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be absolutely worth it. We're gonna get it done, because I have to put myself in that mindset every time I'm in a prep, win or lose. Just because if I don't, then I'm just like, okay, then I can't push myself the way I need to. So the option of like, oh, I shouldn't do this prep or I should pull out, I honestly didn't even think about it. I was just like, let me figure out what I need to do. Let me figure out what I could do to get this done. And looking back now, and I think I've talked about this with my wife extensively, I understand present day how much that stress affected me. But when I'm there in the moment, I understood it, but not fully, to where like, oh, I'm like, man, this is a lot on me. But I'm like, I'm gonna push through it anyways. You know what I mean? I'm gonna deal with it anyways. I'm gonna get it done. And I did, in the sense of like, still didn't miss meals. I didn't miss cardio sessions. Like, none of the excuses that you know as a coach and a competitor that you hear a lot of other people do because of all their life shit. I still didn't miss anything. But again, it was just more so my body was just not responding or giving me the grace I needed to be where I needed to be, essentially. And even, to be honest, Errol even talked to me about it after last year. At the end of the day, even if I was 100%, there's a chance I probably wouldn't have won anyways. So it is what it is, right? We just had to get better this year anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it came down to.
Yeah. So what do you think it is about you or your mindset or whatever you value that made it not even an option to call it quits on that prep?
I mean, again, honestly wasn't even a thought. It wasn't go like, man, it never crossed my mind like, hey, do I need to keep doing this? Should I keep doing this? But that's just because I care about this stuff so much. Like, this is officially now it's my livelihood, right? This is what I do.
Yeah.
But this stuff's just important to me, man. Like, I don't whatever it is, the way I was raised as an athlete, the way my mom and dad, the values they instilled, I'm just gonna figure it out and get it done. Like, there's no quit attitude. You know what I mean?
Do you think it's that you really valued becoming an IFBB pro, or is it more that you just refuse to quit on things that you care about?
Both equally, if I was being honest. Just because if I had to pick one or the other, at the end of the day, it's just my mentality in terms of like not quitting. Because for me, it's like, if you start quitting on one thing, it's just a domino effect for everything else. And it's like, I don't want it. Like, if there's a line, right? I don't want to ever allow myself to take a couple steps back from that line, because then it's like, okay, it becomes easier to inch back further and further. And again, whether I was doing bodybuilding, whether I was doing something else, whatever it may be, just in my life, like I don't ever want to be one of those people. And I think the first time you do it, then it just makes it easier the second time and the third time and the fourth time, to the point where you're like, I could just quit whatever I do. You know what I mean? And I just don't ever want to be in that mindset. But then the other aspect of being an IFBB pro, that's important to me too. Like I've wanted to be in the league, like because of the competitive side of me. Like I've been an amateur for 6 years, but then now I feel like I'm just beginning, because this is, you work as an amateur to get to this point, and then now the work starts again. Um, and what I was gonna say, like I had this Instagram post, 2016. My first show was like 2018. Didn't have a coach, just working out for maybe the first 2 years. I literally said, um, I will be an IFBB men's physique pro in 2 to 3 years. And I even did this. I even did this. Yeah, I was like, "You heard it here first," and then I hashtag this corny ass quote. I was like, "If I don't believe me, who will?" And then I'm just like, I haven't even done a show. I've worked out for maybe a couple years, but it was just in my head. Like
Mhm.
that's the goal I really, really, really wanted to accomplish, and now we're here. It's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I will say, at least you said 2 or 3 years, and you weren't like, "I'm going to turn pro
Oh,
next
so
year,"
long.
like a lot of people have heard or have said before.
Yeah, but 2 to 3 years, I was off by like by 3 to 4 years.
I mean, I'm just trying to give you a little bit of props, because there are some people that, they just show up, they see bodybuilding for the first time. They're like, I could do that. I'll turn pro next year. I'll turn pro this next year, and then the year after that, I'll go to the Olympia. I'm like, who do you think you
Right.
are, bro? Like, this is this is one of the only sports that people think that you can just pick this up one day and you can be one of the top 50 guys in the world just like that. And it's like nobody sees any other sport like that. People don't think, you know what, I want to play football right now. I'm 21 years old. I want to play football. I'm gonna get drafted number one overall, like in a year or two. Like that just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Um,
Absolutely. I think it's just because everyone can go to a gym, sign up, and work out. Everyone can, quote unquote, be on a diet and start dieting. And I think it is just that simple. But then they miss all the little details in between, all the hard work that actually has to be put in, and that goes over their head. That goes absolutely over their head. And I think there's also, for like, again, we're coaches, right? So I'm sure you see this all the time. There's some people who just have this sense of entitlement, and the work hasn't been put in, and they're just like, yeah, I'm gonna get it done. And it's cool to kind of have that mentality in some aspect. Like you have to be a little bit crazy just to be
yeah,
like, we're gonna get this shit done. But at the same time, like, where's your evidence? Like, what have you done? What if you haven't even gotten one thing done? How do you expect to get to that level?
yeah. I mean, especially as people that just get excited about bodybuilding because they think looking great is cool. They see the trophies and what used to be swords. They don't give out swords anymore, but they saw those and they're like, I want one of those. And then they're like, my first show, I want to win the overall. I'm like, bro, you've never even followed a diet. What do you think you're doing? Like, you're not just gonna. It's this weird thing because there's this confidence that you have about how you look and what you think you can do, but then there's also this blatant disrespect to everybody else that is also doing the same thing and has been doing it a lot longer than you and has been going a lot harder, and you think that you can just walk in and win everything on the first try. Like it doesn't happen. Like, it's funny because people think that they can do that, and there are some people that are just the genetic elite that can do it, but if you were
That's just
part of
as
that genetic elite, you would already know.
absolutely. And I think you hit it on the head, right? Like bodybuilding is a sport of time. It's a marathon.
Yeah,
Like even if you do all those things perfectly your first year, so what? Maybe your genetic progression still needs another 2 3 years, and then that's when people throw their hands up, right? Because they're like, I did this perfectly, or like let's even give them a little leeway for the people that are like, I hit this perfectly for 6 months, a year, and I came second at my show. Now they're like, this is not worth it. I don't want to do this again. I didn't even win. But
yeah,
it's like, you only progress that much when
yeah.
you're going up against a guy, like you said, has been doing this for years, going harder, going stronger, more consistent than you have. And it's just like, what do you expect is going to happen?
Yeah, it's this weird thing because on one end, bodybuilding is you versus you, just in the sense of you have to battle
I
yourself and
hate
your
that.
own inner demons to get yourself to do the things that you got to do. But at the end of the day, it's not about whether you're better than last time. It's are you better than everybody that's there that day. So it's
Absolutely.
you versus you all the way up until show day, and then it's you versus the world.
Yeah. Because it doesn't matter what you did, because when you go up on show day, right, you're lining up against dudes that essentially were doing the same damn thing as you for X amount of time. And if that guy's just better than you, like, hey, tip it off to him. It is what it is. It's very much such a subjective sport that it's not like basketball where like I scored more than you or I eat more chicken than you, but I don't win. It hurts some people, but again, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes back to what you were saying a second ago, where you're like, I don't want to quit because once you quit, you break that barrier and it becomes easier and easier to quit. And it's kind of like when you're running a mile. That first duration when you're running, you're like, man, this fucking sucks. And then that first time you stop again and you stop again and you stop again until you're basically just like walking the rest of that mile. And it's kind of like when you're going against all of these other people, the only way that you can make sure that you have the best chance of winning is if you just don't stop. And if you never stop that first time and you just keep going, you'll always have that confidence about it. And there's just this, most people can't go that long. You know what I mean? I'm sure you've seen it. Like the
Man,
consistency is where it is. And it's weird. It's like bodybuilding is like this dull, shitty pain that you go through 24/7, 365 that you kind of love in a sick way because you're just crazy for being a bodybuilder. But the people that can stick to that the longest, be the most consistent, find all these little things that can make you better, they're the ones that make it to the top, because all the other ones, they're entitled. They think that because they were good as an amateur or because they think they're a little bit better than last time that they should be getting first place. But it's not about that. It's who's the best right now, right here.
dude, I think you said it perfectly. Even for myself, right? There's a lot of guys that I started when I started that were way, 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 way ahead of me. And I each year, even if it was just one or two guys, I see the same guys that okay, I got ahead of him. I didn't even probably compete against them, but I'm just like I just see them on Instagram or I've seen them at shows and like, okay, he's still right there. I'm inching further than I'm inching further away from him. I'm getting better than that guy. And a lot of the times is because when I see them or what I see from them, they'll take all these breaks. They'll be on their bullshit for X amount of time, or they quit bodybuilding because it's too hard for them, and then they have these setbacks, and I'm just here, just trucking along, just boom,
Don't you
never stopping.
don't you love seeing
And
that?
I love seeing it. I get fired up talking about it. And like so, when you say that, I'm like, that's exactly what it is. Um, and one, I want to touch on one more thing. When we were talking about just all the people who are kind of like entitled and saying, "Oh, I want to win my first show overall, turn pro next year." Like these guys who haven't even done a prep, and you know this, prep can suck so much. Like when you're in those like last 2 to 6 weeks, whatever it may be for every person's a little different. But when you're in the dog days and like it's hard to get up and it's hard to put your shoes on and it's hard to get to the gym, or you're at the gym and you're sitting in your car for 30 minutes to go before you go work out. It's like they don't know that feeling. And then when
Oh
they
yeah.
hit that feeling, not a lot of them know what to do with it. And
Yeah.
then the ones that can actually get better are the ones that take it and be like, all right, this is what it is, and then just keep working through it. But then again, those people who are entitled who just want to be an Olympian next year, most of them feel that and are like, I don't want any part of this.
Yeah. It's like that thing where you thought it was going to be awesome and it was going to be sunshine and rainbows. Then you find out it's like eating shit every day.
Every
And that end of prep feeling, it's so hard to describe because it's like, is it that bad? You can do like somebody could do it 70 minutes of cardio one day, but it's not just that one time. It's that accumulation of just getting beat down every day is this dull pain that just sucks. And you have to just be on track 24/7. What, like when you're prepping your meals, when you go to the grocery store, what time you're eating your meals, like what
because
time you
it's
go into the
those are all
gym.
those are all the little details, right? Because you can have a guy that said, "Oh, I did all my cardio this week," but maybe he put his intensity on fucking level 2 on the stairmaster. He got the 70 minutes done, but was it like a real 70 minutes to where you know you're gonna get the most out of it? Probably not. And there's a lot of little details that people probably lie about, don't talk about. And again, once they get to the stage, the proof is in the pudding in terms of the results, because it shows a lot of times in the conditioning at an amateur level, just everyone's out of shape.
Yeah. I don't know if
You
you're like this, but this one weird thing about me when I was on prep was I loved making people say, I don't know how you do this. I would purposely bring my Tupperware everywhere. I even brought it one time to the club in Dallas, and I walked in and the
know,
security guard was like, damn, you about that life, huh? I was like, yep. And I just walked
you like,
in with it. But in a weird way, those are the type of things that kept me going. Like, yeah, you know, like you gotta kind of hype yourself up. Like when you're doing it and someone says, Nate, I don't know how you could do that. I don't know how you could sit here at Fogo de Chao and everyone's eating and you're not eating. Right. And I was just feel like, it's because you're not about it. You're not about that
yeah,
life. And like that sick,
yeah.
it's just like a sick thing that I hadn't met. Are you like that?
Not necessarily like you, but I understand, like, from your point of view, like, why you're doing that, right? Because
Yeah.
everyone has to have their little thing in terms of, like, again, what you said, like, what gets you fired up, what gets you kind of hyped up for yourself. And for you, and that's dope. Like, for you, it's like, yeah, this is what I do. I'm about this life. You get
Yeah, I'm just thinking about specific moments because one time we went to the Olympia and Mary was working the All Max booth, and All Max took all of them out to Fogo de Chao, and they were gonna take me out too, but I was 12 weeks out, and I just sat there and watched everybody, and you know they're all competitors too, and even them, some of them were really good pros too. They're like, I don't know how you're doing this, and I was like, that's why I'm gonna
was
win
it was this
someday.
was this your last season? Was this the last season you did
Um, in 2019, yeah, yeah. So the
when you were
Olympia.
running like it?
Yeah, yeah. So this was yeah, actually like this was the day after the dark sport athlete search when I lost to Kaike. But yeah, and it was just like, you know, about that, you know?
Oh, I forgot that you were right there.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If you beat Kaiki that day, right, and you're a dark sport athlete, would you, like, going to 2019 season, going to the 2020 season, like, would you just kept um still being an active pro, or you think even if you were a dark sport athlete, you'd be like, I'm retiring and I'm gonna just do this social media thing?
Yeah, I think about that all the time, actually. Not I mean not the dark sport part, but just I think a lot of it was just the environment that I was in. You know, I moved to Texas before all of you guys moved to Texas. And when I got here, I was the only bodybuilder, and I was used to being in San Diego and you know, in Orange County when everyone around me is just part of that life. And when you're the only one doing it, it just becomes a little bit less fun. Um,
Yeah,
so I mean, it was
absolutely.
just like I was doing it myself, and you know, and then 2020 happened, and it was just like all that, you know, it was just a weird time, and like the timing of everything just made me kind of step back, and then also, you know, where we want to have kids and do all that stuff. So I think it may have played a factor in me not wanting to come, or maybe if you guys were here a little bit earlier, or maybe if I hung out with Billy more when he moved, when he moved, but we like never saw each other. I think those things potentially could have influenced me because I right before I decided that I was going to stop, I was at my best ever. Like I would have crushed anything that I ever did. Um,
Yeah, man, for
and then
sure.
also, you know, I got married in that time too, so I was trying to like make sure that I'd be present for my wedding and not dying, and I wanted to enjoy the experience as much as possible. Like even if I did go to the Olympia, it would have been like, you know, a month or two out from the Olympia, and I didn't want it to like interfere with any of that kind of stuff.
No, I hear you. But yeah, so for you, it was really kind of like a perfect storm in terms of like how things kind of not fell apart, but like it just like all these factors came into your life that just kind of, like you said, influenced you to kind of step back a little bit from the game and then essentially call it.
Yeah, pretty much. It was just like the perfect storm of all this stuff happening. Cause I mean, I love bodybuilding. Like I loved everything about it, even feeling like shit, just because it just made me feel like I was doing something positive and I was accomplishing something. I was working towards a goal. There was always something to shoot for. And I think moving to Texas and not being around it anymore, not being around shows or other competitors, it just kind of made me see like a different aspect of life. And I guess like after a long time bodybuilding, once you take a break and you don't have that fire anymore, it's like
It's hard to come back.
it's hard to bring it back. Yeah, because you're like, oh, now I'm comfortable. Like, you know, it's whatever. But then you got other battles of like feeling different about how you look. You know, you're not this ginormous swole guy anymore that everyone's like, oh fuck, monster. And then it's weird to watch that happen. I mean, it'll happen. Yeah, it is what it
Yeah,
is. Yeah,
yeah. Give me like 10 years.
yeah.
I mean,
But
that's crazy you say that though, because it's like it just sounds like a timing thing. Because for me, like the move to Texas was the exact opposite in terms of like the bodybuilding side of things.
mhm,
Like now I feel more entrenched in bodybuilding here than I
yeah,
did back home. Because I mean back home, it's, not to because I do this enough like on this not, on the side talking to people, but like not to shit on LA and Cali, but it's just like the fitness scene there, the industry there, it's like and just LA in general, right? People want to try to be so LA that it takes away from everything else. That's just how they act. Where
yeah,
here it's like you're doing this because you want to. Or if we're taking this outside the bodybuilding scope, like you're just around normal people. And when I felt that here, coming here and living here, it's like it was so fucking refreshing. So now it's like I feel like I'm way deeper and way more entrenched in bodybuilding than I was out there, and it feels nice. So yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy to hear how it could shift from both sides of perspective based on timing.
yeah. I mean, it is. I know exactly what you mean about SoCal people. Like specifically, I think it's more like towards LA, but there's just that weird
You're in a
feeling that
nice, well, you know what I mean.
yeah, it's just like when you meet people, when you shake their hand and they're like smiling, you can kind of you got the sixth sense. You're like you're only nice because you're wondering if you can get something from me, and if you can't, we're not going to talk again. You know what I mean? So it's like it's just pretty much just being fake.
It's like, hey, bro, like, hey, nice meeting you. Do you want to collab? Like, no, dog. I just wanna hang out. I want to kick it.
Yeah,
No, but we should do it. We should post it on Instagram. We should show people we're kicking it. I'm like, no, let's just go have dinner. Which, which here you can do, and over there it's just like it was like everything you did had to be posted, or it was forced, or at least like in the surroundings I was in at the time. That's what it felt like.
yeah,
I didn't really like that.
yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I'm not a huge fan of that either. So I think that's also why my friends as a bodybuilding circle were like separate from like the rest of it, where there's hella drama and people are like that and all that stuff. I mean, you know how that, you know what it's like.
You know, we'll see. It's gonna be interesting now that a little more entrenched in the league. I'm probably
Yeah.
I'm sure you have some stories or shit to tell.
There's plenty of stories.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
just gonna be in my own lane.
but have fun with it. But I want to know how you feel that day after prejudging, right? Like, you know that you're in the top something. Like, you knew that you're in the top something. Did you get called off after before everybody else, like the top two?
Yeah, we were locked in.
Okay. So how did you feel from that? I guess it wasn't too long, but from that time until finals.
I actually have a pretty I have a funny story for you because you asked that. Um, so obviously, like all the after we lock it in, we know we're in prejudging. Like we're becoming pro. We're turning pro. It's locked in. There's no doubt about it. I got off stage. I'm a little bit of a crier. I'm not gonna lie. Like I've almost cried at almost every show I've done. In the sense, like my first show, I got my ass kicked, went to the back, cried, and I've done that at national show, whatever. But this one I was like, oh shit, we got it, and I was like, I can't see anybody right now. Like I can't see my wife, I can't see our homies, I can't see my coach. My mom even flew down and surprised me, so she was at the show. It was like, I can't see her right now. So I literally got off stage, went in like the athletes backstage, and I snuck. There's this like little pathway that you can go to the opposite side of the crowd, and there's an immediate bathroom. And I fucking gunshotted it to the bathroom, kicked it in the stall for like 5-10 minutes. And I was just like processing and just like kind of digesting everything. Obviously, I was crying a little bit, and I was like, okay, I'm good, I'm good. And then I finally I walked back, got my stuff, see my mom, first one to see, balling, just balling again. And then we FaceTime my dad, and the same thing. So, um, I answered your question, right?
Yeah.
What-
Yeah. It was
yeah.
just, what was it like in between? Like, did you Because some people, like, I was more like, I mean, like when they call the top two off, they're like, that you got it. But I was still like, I'm not going to celebrate anything until that trophy's in my hand. So I kind of want to see what you were like. But how,
I was no,
how,
I was in it. I was like, I
yeah.
got this. We're done.
Yeah.
Job done. Because for finals after, I was chilling. Like
Okay.
once I actually like they had my name, they called my name like and new, and they put the card in my hand. Da da da. We took the pictures. Everybody. I was just chilling at that point. So prejudging hit me a lot harder, just because I know
Mm,
when I looked, I was like, I was second, but like I said, we kind of had that conversation about who was first. I was like, there's no way third, fourth, or fifth is even touching me.
yeah.
So yeah,
Love it.
prejudging was a lot more emotional. Just like I finally got it. Like that mountain that we've been climbing for 6 years, we finally got done. So finals, I was just enjoying it. It was just a good time, and then it was already processed at least for that moment. Yeah,
Okay. So how crazy was it knowing that a year ago you were stressed the hell out, worried about your mom, and then you turn pro the next year, first person you see is your mom. How crazy is that?
I know, dude. That's why. That's why I said I was balling, man. Because it's like there was like a 90% chance that she was not supposed to be right there. It was honestly that bad. Even the recovery after she was in the ICU for 3 months, and then after that, the recovery was like another 3 to 4 months, 6 months. Whereas like she could have another brain bleed, she could have another seizure to where it'll just happen and there's no way to stop it. For a long time within that past year, she was not even allowed to fly because being in a plane
Hmm.
that just being in a plane that it creates pressure in her brain that just could possibly pop off. So the doctor was like, "You're not clear to do that." So the fact that she was there a year later in the stands, like she surprised me at the Airbnb while I was shaving. So I have a full face of shaving cream, and she just like busts through my Airbnb and gives me a hug, and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And they're taking pictures. Just a group of pictures with me with a full face of shaving cream. So it was really dope and amazing to have her there. Absolutely.
Yeah, I saw and I saw when you're on stage at finals, I saw Alex just like basically shaking in the stands,
I
bawling.
know.
That was
I
crazy.
know.
Yeah, I mean, you guys
I
cut off
mean,
the video at the best part. I was like, I didn't even get to see her like cry.
oh, it was on her page. It was Instagram's fault, but
Yeah.
yeah, man. I mean, she's the best. She's literally everything she could have possibly done to just ensure that I had, like I said, I had a perfect prep. But a lot of that is because of her.
Hmm.
She just covered my bases where she needed to. She was supposed to do nationals this year because she won an overall a couple months before,
I know.
and they paid for her national ticket, and I was like, let's run it. And I was all for it because I was like, for me, it would actually had taken off extra. I didn't even have pressure this prep like we talked about, but even more additional pressure would have been came off just because I would have been so focused on her. So then for
Hmm.
myself, I would have just been dialed in, listened to what my coach said, and I would have been good. But then she just came to me and was like, it was pretty funny when how she did it, but she was just like, I'm gonna sit it out this year. We weren't even actually planning to do a national show, and I'm gonna sit out so I could just be there for you, have whatever you need, and just be my rock. And she did exactly that. So that's why when I say like this is much my win as this her as it is hers, because I know it's she tells me all the time it's just as important to her. Like she would legitimately let me be a pro and have all this and sacrifice what she would want it in terms of this, like in terms of like her own bodybuilding career. She'd throw that out all in a second if I was able to get what I wanted. Not because of me, but just because that's the kind of person she is.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because one of the last times that I was in Austin, I talked to her about it, and she was like, "No, I think this is his time. I'm gonna let him have this right now." And so
Yeah.
it's pretty cool hearing that. I mean, it did end up. I mean, it's not like I doubted her, but it's pretty cool that you guys had that conversation, and you seem very appreciative of it.
Dude, so talking about her, talking about this prep, talking about my dogs. Um, I brought two of my dogs to the Airbnb because they could just the two smaller ones just because they can be on their own.
Mhm.
We left Nala, the big one, at home, and we were supposed to have a sitter. Long story short, that sitter got scared of Nala couldn't take her out of her crate, couldn't do anything. And Alex, on the day we got to Dallas, which was a Wednesday, drove back home that same day to go grab Nala and then bring her back same day. And was like, hey, anyway, because it was kind of stressing me. I was like, man, what are we going to do now? She's like, don't even worry about it. Let me go take care of it. And she legit did. She drove 9 hours back to back.
Oh yeah, that's
To
a
Dallas,
journey.
back home, back to Dallas. Yeah, yeah. So that just kind of shows you what, she's my rock, like I said, man.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Shout out Alex.
Shout out Alex. Probably see this, so shout out Alex.
How was it holding up the card? That's a cool new thing that they do nowadays. They didn't do it back in my day, but holding up the card on stage, and when they hit the and new, were you like nervous, shaking? Were you just like, it's time?
No, that's what it is. Like I said, finals. I was already collected. I was like, it's time. This is what we worked for. This is what we came to do, and this is just like signified like getting the job done, man. Just finally getting the job done. So it was a very cool, surreal moment. Like I said, it took a while. It took a couple days after to sink in. Like the show was Saturday. It really didn't sink in until maybe Wednesday or Thursday. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, yeah. So having that card in my hand, I just got it laminated. I'm hanging that shit up.
I would too. That's
So
dope. That's cool, man. So what are your plans now?
yeah, so talk to Ariel. I'm taking all of 2024 off. I'm gonna compete in 2025 and probably run, not probably. He said we're running the gauntlet. We had the option of doing a show in 2024. He threw it out there. He was like, we could do a show like mid late 2024 just to see where you stand amongst pros. And I immediately told him, I was like, I'm not interested. Like I don't need to gauge where I'm at. I was like, I trust you in terms of you know what the judges are looking for. You obviously, bro, he's a go, right? You know what the league is looking for. So let me take the time to improve. Let me take the time to grow and then come out with a banger in 2025. Just because I know, again, my track record, how much progress I can make in a 6, 7, 8 month off season. I've done it over and over. But now I have 12 months. I have a full year to get better. And I know I won't be one of these guys who by month 8, month 9 fall off. I'm still going to be on track. I could do a lot. I could do a lot, and I think I could be competitive in 2025 and see where the cards fall. So there are things in my physique that I still need to bring up a good amount. Like I've never asked. I've only asked for a judge's feedback once, and that was this year, 4 weeks ago at Texas State, because Tyler was judging at the show we were doing at the regional. So we were like, we'll just stay around and talk to him, see what he says. Prior to that, never emailed, never checked with the judge. Ariel, what do we need to bring up? Back. 6 years. Bring up your damn back. Back. So even now for this year, like he's like, we still need to improve it for the pro level, which I agree. Got to bring up my back some more, and then I think for myself as well, just looking how like I pay attention to the league, I pay attention to my physique, like and everything. I'm very critical too, so it's like I need to round out my delts. My chest needs a couple more pounds as well, just because I mean I'm a broader guy, so I have a lot of square space in my chest. So when I get lean, there's always a chance of my chest flattening out. Even at this past show, talking about backstage, I'll talk about it after. I had a crazy protocol in terms of what I had to eat before the stage, but it was because my chest was flattening out. And Billy always sees it, and he sees it in person all the time. So he told Ariel, but the way I can fix that is just adding a little bit more density to my chest as well. And then again, so that's kind of the plan. Hopefully qualify for 2025 Olympia. We'll see. They don't do points anymore like back in your day, back in your old day. So we got to see what shows line up. If we can be strategic about it, if I could bang one out, that'd be cool. If not, he told me he prepared for me, and I'm ready for it. He was like, "You could have the best physique, but still land in second callouts." because of that you got to pay your dues. So not only do I have all of 2024 to get ready physically, but mentally as well. Just because
Yeah.
it's gonna be a different game, right? You know this very well. Like it's not just about competing anymore. It's a business. You're a professional. So there's things that come with it that is gonna be out of your control more than it was already when it comes to bodybuilding. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It goes back to the timing thing, right? Like when I first turned pro, I was kind of on the same thing. Like me and Art were just like, let's just do your pro debut like 2 weeks after you turn pro, because I had the option. You don't have the option. Um, and then we saw where I stacked up, and then he was like, no, we could do it. But the only thing was, I would have wanted to take a long off season, but it was points, so it was like guys were competing like 6, 7, 8 times a year. And
yeah.
so we kind of rushed it. And but it's cool to know that you're like, nah, I'm gonna take a back seat. I'm gonna do what I know that I got to do, and I'm gonna come lights out in 2025.
And here's the thing, man. Like this is something I've told myself for a very long time, and something that bothers me with like other pros. Um, like people who turn pro and then hang it up and just go, I'm good. I'm happy. I'm satisfied. And like we talked about, like you work to this point to be in this game to actually get to be a professional. So it's like for me, it's like I'm viewing this to be in the long haul. If I have to take my licks, so be it. But I do want to be like a pro's pro and actually do right by the sport and see how far I can actually take it. Because I think for myself, I mean, if I was able to do 6 years from what I did as an amateur to a pro, what can I do in another 5, 6 years within that time frame? Try to become an Olympian, right? Because I'm 27 now, like you said, it not on the older side, but not on the younger side either. But I will be reaching my prime in terms of physicality within when I get in my 30s. So it's
Hmm.
like, why not do it? Why not push for what I really want and hopefully can accomplish?
Okay. So you don't like when people turn pro and hang it up?
And like they just go, I just did it for my business and then called it. Like didn't even try,
Okay, that's
or
different.
they,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Or like they did a show and they're like, what Ariel was talking about. He's like, and I've seen this. It wasn't just him telling me, but like guys who turn pro, get their ass kicked, and then are just so discouraged that they just don't want to do it anymore. And it's like, what were you expecting? You're like you said, we're going up against the genetic elite, the motherfuckers who turned pro in a day. You're going up against that guy.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's an expectation of like you might not be the best right away, and it's like we just got to work.
Okay. So you're talking about those guys. I wasn't thinking about those guys. I was thinking more so like, because I mean you can kind of tell, I think if you're super realistic, you can look at some guys and say, you know, I think 80% of people could turn into a pro if they gave it enough work and enough time. But I don't think that percentage of people that turn pro could ever go to the
Can be combative.
Olympia. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
sometimes I think some people are just like realistic. They're like, I can't compete with that. I'm not one of these top guys, and I don't think it's going to happen.
yeah, for sure. Like you're talking about like masters guys. Just kidding. Just kidding. Um, but no, I know what you mean, and like yeah, but at the same time, it's like okay, just give it an honest effort. But I'm talking about just the guys who like for those guys that kind of are realistic about the genetics and like, hey, they turned pro and that was awesome, but they know their capabilities limited at the pro league. Like, yeah, I get that. That's not like beyond me, but I'm just talking about the guys who are just like, oh, I lost. I placed fourth callouts. I just don't want to do this anymore because I don't want to keep losing, or I'm scared of losing. You know
Okay.
what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
guys that come in and they had a quick start because maybe they had a little bit of a head start from lifting their whole life, or maybe they were pretty good genetically, that come in to the league and they think they're gonna run shit, and then they throw a little fit because they got third call outs. Yeah, those guys
Quitters,
are
bro. What are we talking about? I hate quitters.
those guys are pussies. Let's be real.
Absolutely. Yeah, you said it. Yeah.
If you're listening to this and you quit on your career as an IFBB pro strictly because you didn't land in the first call out your first few pro shows, you're a pussy.
Soundbite that.
I'm gonna clip that. Bam. But so I'm curious, man. I've talked to somebody that went to high school with you. How did you go from being a high school basketball player to just saying, I want to be a pro bodybuilder? Because the person that I talked to, he said that's the last thing he remembers hearing from you is that you just said one day, I'm going to be a pro bodybuilder. How'd you go from that?
It honestly, it was not even in like, it wasn't even like, I was very interested in working out. Like I said, I was an athlete, right? So we would do off seasons and be in the weight room and work out. And it wasn't like, oh my goodness, I love this. Um, really, it was almost random, right? My best friend from back home, shout out Johnny, if you hear this. He literally just got me into the gym one day. Like, cause he was on the team too. One random day, he was like, "Hey man, I'm going to LA Fitness. Like, do you want to come with me?" And I was like, "That's my best friend." I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Let's go hang out." And literally, I stepped into that LA Fitness at like my junior year, so I'm 16, 17. Just never left. Just kept showing up. Just I would go to school, go to basketball practice, go train at the gym, go eat Chipotle right next door, rinse and repeat. And then like after a couple of years of just doing that, because like after that I was like, I do really like this. Like that those couple of years were kind of a blur to me in terms of like, what was I doing in the gym actually? Like I don't even remember because I was just probably figuring things out. But
Yeah.
after a couple of years of doing that, and like nobody in my family lifted either, so I was listening to a lot of YouTube. I was following a lot of guys and just like, what am I gonna do with this? Like I like lifting. I feel like I'm getting a little bit jacked. But what am I doing with this? And then also the athlete in me started like rearing its head. It was like, do something competitive because all you're doing is lifting weights every day. So then I essentially 2 years in found a coach, Ariel, and I found him through Stephen Cow. Literally, I was following Stephen Cow at the time when he was like young and he was popping. And I was just like, I DM'd him randomly. I wasn't expecting him to get back to me, but he was just like, "Who's your coach?" And then we just tag cuts. And then 7, 8 months later, once I had enough like bread and no, I lied. I convinced my mom. See, my mom is the best. She paid for my coaching. After 7, 8 months of convincing her, she paid
Yeah.
for my coaching, and then that's been it, man. Rest is history.
Yeah. Okay.
First couple shows, yeah.
So were you like
So that's really how.
were you following Men's Physique on like Instagram or something like that? And like you saw like Steven or?
Yeah, I mean, so my inspiration at the time, and maybe I told you, maybe I did, but like I followed Steven. I just found him because obviously he was popping, right? Found Ariel, and then obviously at the time it was like Jeremy Buendia and Andre Ferguson. Those like the two guys at the top, and I was like, okay, I really mess with them, and I was following them, but I was like, who I was looking up to was the OG Cuts guys. It was legit Steven. It was you. It was Will. It was Ant Woods. Who at the time? Alex Wong. I looked at those guys. I was like, I want to be one of those guys. Like I looked up to you guys and it was like, that's what I want to be like. More than Buendia and Ferguson because they're like, you can't even touch those guys. But I was like, these dudes are on my team. Like they have the same coach as me.
Yeah.
Like let me try to be like them. So yeah, I was following you guys for the longest, man.
That's dope, man. Was it because we seem like more like real people versus like a superstar guy like Buendia or Andre?
It wasn't even the superstar aspect. It was just more of like, you know, like I come from a team background, team athlete team sport background. So it's like the fact that you guys were on the same team. I was like, I was so far removed from you guys, but I was associated with you guys because of Cup.
Okay.
I was like, those are the guys. Those are the guys I want to look at and be around and become.
Okay. Yeah, I remember I talked to you like maybe 2018. You competed. It was probably one of your first shows with Ario. And you were like, "Hey bro, I know you were you know where to eat around here?" And I was like, "No, I'm not even from here, bro."
Did I ask you that like in person or online?
Yeah. Because I was sitting in the stands and I was talking to Ario. It was me and Mary, and then you had just competed, so you came and you sat down and you were like, "Hey bro, you know where to eat around here?" And I was like, "I don't, but Mary does." And Mary just started dropping.
Oh, okay. It was either the San Fran show or the
It was in
old, where
Culver.
did they used to do it? Culver. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right, man. So let's switch gears. I want to know a little bit more about you as a person. I mean, we've known each other for a while now. How'd you meet Alex?
The gym.
Really?
We both, yeah. So we'll slowly switch gears, but yeah, uh, I worked as a trainer at 24 Hour Fitness, and
Okay.
then she worked as a she was she worked up to the not general manager, the whatever it's called, one of the managers.
Sales manager?
So she was a sales manager. Um, she literally walked in one day. I was like on a computer just bullshitting. And the other manager, like the operations manager,
Hmm.
I walked in. She walked in, and I was like, "She working here?" And my operations manager was like, "Yeah," because me and her were cool. Was like, "Thank you for bringing somebody hot in our gym." And then but at the time she had a boyfriend, so it was like we were just friends for the longest, not longest, like a few months, and then whatever, things didn't work out with her relationship. Um, Me looking like me and just me being me, she just gravitated my way. Um,
Hello,
so
cool
yeah,
Sage.
Ella, Ella came out back then. Um, and then yeah, so things just kind of happened naturally. I mean, and then honestly, within like a 6 to 8 months of knowing her, maybe a year of being with her, we had moved in together, and then we are here 5 years now, married,
Yeah.
three
How
dogs,
how
maybe
how long did
man,
it take you to propose?
3 years, 3 years,
And then you guys got
because we were
married
just
like
getting to a
pretty
point
quick.
pretty quick. Our wedding, like I know it's kind of like not normal, but like we plan our wedding in like 5 to 6 months. It's just again one of those things that kind of like really came together quickly. The venue she wanted had an opening. Um, our family stepped in and really helped us out. All the little services that we need were just like on deck. Our wedding planner was really cool and was just like on point and everything. So it was a very um, not stressful process, and it just
Mhm.
happened really quickly. Because I don't know what it was for like for you guys, but I know like typically speaking, right? Like planning a wedding is a 1 to 2 year process. So for us, it was like really fast, and it worked out really well.
Okay. All right. So here's a question. You
Hmm.
had an In-N-Out truck at your wedding. Why?
I did. Why not?
Why'd you pick In-N-Out?
Why not?
Was that like the main food?
Because no, we had a fantastic like catering service. It
Oh,
was
okay, so the
a
In-N-Out was
really
like
really
the extra, like the nightcap thing.
yeah. Our plan
Mm,
was like, okay, like everyone's gonna eat dinner, everyone's gonna get drunk as heck, which everyone did. We had an open bar in and usually like open bar bartenders are not supposed to do shots,
yeah.
but the guy was cool. He was just chilling. He was doing us a solid, and he just hooked us up all night. So everyone was messed up, but the idea was like, okay, once everyone's done, in and out truck, because they pulled up at like 10 o'clock.
Hmm. Okay, so
But
yeah,
it
you had one of
didn't
the
work
most
out.
unique things. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it was cool. It was. I wish it worked out a little bit better because just of timing, because like people were kind of full. So it's like
Mm.
we didn't get to take full advantage of the in and out truck. Like I had like 12 burgers in my hotel room that I didn't eat. But like it would have been nice if like the venue had let us um stay there till like 12:01, which is not probably not reasonable for weddings. But then
Hmm.
if it was like at 12:01 and the in and out truck was there, then people would have been starving at that point. But I think
Yeah.
people were just still partying full of alcohol, so it didn't get utilized to the best, but it was still very much worth it.
Okay. Yeah. So you flew into your wedding on a helicopter. Then you had an In-N-Out truck.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that you could have an
Oh,
In-N-Out truck until I saw your wedding.
AJ, LL Cool Sage
Oh,
from
they made
LL
the truck for
Props.
you. They made the truck for you. That's dope, man. So what's your favorite cheat meal?
Oh man, honestly at my core, I'm still it's basic, but I'm still very much a burger guy. I love like you can't beat like a really really good burger and fries. And I just found my favorite spot here in Austin, the one I talked about.
Hmm.
But I mean, outside of that, I mean, I'm, I think me and you are very much alike in terms of like me and Alex and you and Mary. Like I know you guys are very much foodies, and so are we. So like, um, I like all kinds of food. Like I love Indian food. I love Mediterranean food, Korean food. What else? Like sushi is always a good go-to. But if you're just telling
Yeah.
me like a cheat meal as a bodybuilder, burgers all day. But I will say, um, this is a new record for me for this prep. Haven't had McDonald's post show.
Oh shit.
and I usually always do. I haven't had fast food because I'm trying to be good about trying Austin food. So
Okay,
like um so
more
yeah,
local stuff.
burgers for sure. Like even tonight, I'm gonna have a cheat right after this podcast or a little bit later, and I'm trying not to go fast food. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to eat, but at the end of the day, burgers. My default is burgers.
Okay, so I mean, is that what you would still pick if you could have any meal that you wanted, unlimited amount? You wouldn't feel like shit afterwards.
Like are we talking about like this is my last meal
I mean, it's just
for
like a
life?
free meal.
Like kind
Like
of
you wouldn't feel bad about it after. Like you wouldn't physically feel bad, and you wouldn't feel bad about eating it either.
no, I don't think that's just my default because it's easy. But
Yeah.
like I'd go. I know. There's like five-star restaurants. You can go find something that's just like out of this world good. So it would be something like that, where it's like
Hmm.
like a really good steakhouse or I don't know. My palate's changing a little bit, maybe because I'm getting a little older. I don't know, but I enjoy trying and tasting new types of foods. Before I wasn't really like that. I mean, I can't eat seafood, which sucks because I know I'm missing like a whole section of like amazing food, but I can't do shellfish.
Oh,
Um,
you allergic?
but I'm allergic, dude.
Uh,
It's not like deathly bad, but
yeah.
pretty bad.
Yeah. Oh shit. I mean, that kind of
What's
sucks.
yours? What's your default for cheat meal as
My
a normal
de-
person now?
as a normal person, my default is usually going to be sushi, just because I don't feel bad after I eat it. Um, some of my favorite foods are like pizza and ice cream, like some of the worst stuff that you can eat. But I usually don't eat them because I don't want to feel like shit afterwards. But if I'm just like in a man, fuck it, I don't care. I'll smash like a whole pizza and a pint of Ben and Jerry's, just like the old days.
See, for me, I don't worry about that stuff. like uh, I'm a very much I'll eat till my stomach hurts.
Oh yeah,
Because for
that's me.
it's like if I'm gonna have a cheat meal, I've shifted to where like I'm just gonna enjoy what I want because I know these 6 other days I'm gonna be on plan. So it's like I want it to be worth it, and I also don't want to feel like I'm holding back.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that. It's just man, when you get older and you're
And after,
not a bodybuilder anymore, you're just like, damn dude, I don't want to feel like shit for the next few days.
how old are you now? Like 38?
Yeah, bro, I'm 31. Fucking asshole.
Okay, this is
So since you love burgers so much, what's your top 5 burger spots?
like chains.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
do
yeah.
chains to make
Let's
it
go
simple.
with top 5 burger spots in order, like that you could find anywhere in the country, pretty much. You can include P. Terry's if you want.
We'll include it. Yeah, it's in my current top five right now. If we're just talking about chains.
Mhm.
Um, number one's McDonald's.
Oh
I
God.
just have that. That's nostalgic for me, man. Like as a kid, like I tell this joke all the time, like because I was fat as a little kid too, and I was like you, I was fat all the way
Mhm.
up till like close to high school. I was like, as much as I love bodybuilding, I can't take the McDonald's fat kid out of me. So that just has a special place in my heart. I
Yeah.
know it's not the best burger,
Yeah.
but hey, it's my number one. Um,
Okay.
Number
McDonald's.
two, In and Out, but like Five Guys in the last couple of years has like closed in a little bit. So Five Guys is number three. P. Terry's is number four. That's just because it's new, but it's up there. I like it a ton.
Yeah.
What other burger chain spots are there? I hate Burger King.
Yeah. Burger King's trash. That's
Mm,
exactly what I was thinking.
Burger King's trash. I don't know how it's still alive. I haven't tried Whataburger like I told you.
Yeah. It's like
So for
Burger King.
default, if we're just talking about burgers, let me throw in Carl's Jr. I used to like Carl's Jr. a lot.
Oh, what did you get?
Oh, bro, like their bacon guacamole $6 burger back in the day.
I used to get the Western bacon cheeseburger. That was the
Ooh,
one
okay.
with the
The onion
barbecue sauce.
rings?
Yeah, the onion rings and the
Yes,
barbecue
sir.
sauce and the bacon. You know.
Sure. I know. I know.
Yeah. Back when I was poor, I used to get the rodeo burgers from Burger King, which is basically a normal tiny little burger, but they threw onion rings and barbecue sauce on it, and it was like $1.
Oh, wow. That's not bad.
Yeah. All right, so you got McDonald's. So your top 5 burger spots is McDonald's, In and Out, Five Guys, P. Terry's, kind of like a Texas exclusive, and then
Yeah.
Carl's Jr.
We'll throw default. I can't think of any other ones unless
Okay.
if you could throw rattle off a couple.
I mean, I've never tried Smash Burger. I know it's kind of a chain. And then there's Shake
Mhm.
Shack. I think Shake Shack's cool.
Okay. Shake Shack,
Replaces
5.
Carl Jr.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right. What's your favorite kind of fries?
McDonald's.
McDonald's fries?
McDonald's
Mm.
fries.
They do have a nostalgic taste. I'm not like a
All the sugar.
I don't like potato wedges or house fries. I'm not really big on those. Crinkle cut fries are like they're okay. Um, In-N-Out fries are
Jack in the
only
Box.
good if they're for real well done.
Yes. Fresh. Carl's Jr. I mean, Jack in the Box has good curly fries.
Oh, the curly fries with the buttermilk ranch. Mm, that's
Yeah.
fire. That's fire.
Yep.
Okay. Are you a pizza guy?
I'm a pizza guy. I love a good pizza.
All right.
Sometimes I get what you're saying. Like it as much as I say I'll eat to my stomach hurts. Pizza is one of the things that like it'll kind of mess me up a little
Yeah.
bit. Um, so I don't. It's not always my first choice, but I love a good pizza. Like going to New York in right after Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to just having New York pizza.
New York pizza's fire. Do you think
Question.
pineapple on pizza?
Yes, I do. Are you a Domino's or Pizza Hut guy?
Oh, that's a good question. I grew
Yeah.
up on Pizza Hut, so I do have a soft spot. Like your McDonald's is my Pizza Hut pan pizza. So Pizza
Okay.
Hut, pepperoni, mushrooms, and olives, that was my shit. I ate that every Friday growing up. So I'm a Pizza Hut guy. I will eat Domino's though, for the convenience and the app, and I don't have to talk to nobody, and they just make my pizza and deliver it, and it's like pretty cheap too. What about you?
I'm a Domino's guy, but I am a minus the olives. I'm very much a pepperoni mushroom guy. That's staple.
Yeah, I don't know, mushrooms on pizza, they just hit with the cheese and then the crust. That's my shit.
Come on, man, talking my language.
How do you like Texas? Since so you've officially been here you've been
Absolutely. I love it, man. We just talked about it at dinner with my wife. I was like, Texas has just treated us so well that one, it's very hard for us seeing ourselves move anywhere or even coming back home. Like the only reason why we would ever just like consider it, and it still probably wouldn't happen, just because of family. All our families out there in California, but then our goal is to try to move them here. So that, but yeah, Texas has been great. Like I said, I feel at home here. So when I go back to LA, I don't feel at home anymore. Like this is where I feel like we could set some roots, have a family, do all that. And man, going back to bodybuilding real quick, I think it just aligned this year, right? Like the first year we moved to Texas is the first year they moved Nationals to Texas. And it's just like how everything, like I said, how we were just entrenched now in the communities here, how the gyms have been, how they've treated us, how they've embraced us, and how my training and my everything has been. It was like I don't do the whole it was meant to be, but Texas is the place for us, man. So no complaints, no regrets. I think literally the only time I would move, and this is kind of like a little seed that's been planted in my head this year, just for my own self, was like if we ever do move, it'll be overseas, just for a couple years.
Oh,
I want to travel and then just kind of disappear. I think maybe this might be like after I'm done bodybuilding, where I can just set up my life where I'm still coaching. I have other things that are bringing me income, but I could disappear in like a small little town in Italy with Alex and maybe our kid, just for 2 years, just to see what it'd be like, and then come home.
Okay, all right. I feel that. I talked to Mary about it. I was like, man, if things had happened differently in the timeline of our life, I would have loved to just pack up and go live somewhere international for at least a little bit, just to see what it's like, experience a different culture, hang out. But now it's like, we got houses and stuff. We can't really just like leave.
You're entrenched right now.
Yeah.
And we like the dog thing. It's like you can't, like I wouldn't leave them. So it's like we
That
have
too.
to wait for some time for that to happen. But like I said, it's like kind of a seed that's planted in my head this year actually, and just like something I want to cross off my list for sure.
Okay.
But
So
again,
you wouldn't move back to Cali?
I'm a fuck. No.
You wouldn't move back to Cali at all?
I don't know. No, but I don't. It's not just Cali. I don't know where else I would move to if it was in Texas right now. Like nothing really interests me. So I think I'm gonna be a true Texan for a while.
Okay.
I still haven't bought cowboy.
You haven't bought cowboy boots?
upsetting me. Nah,
No.
man.
Yeah, I didn't buy any either. Do you like Texas because they're Republicans?
Um, Partly, yes. I mean, I think a lot of the values and ethics that Republicans have, I share. I know, like I come from a Democratic family or whatever, but I toe the line. Some things I'm not like I'm only this or I'm only that. I'm very much like um depends on the situation, depends on the issue, depends on the what is going on in the context, right?
Hmm.
Um, but I do like a lot of Republican views here, just because nobody's towering over you, telling you what to do, and you just live and just do right by people.
Yeah, that's fair. Are you a pro gun guy?
I absolutely am. Another Texan thing that I still haven't done, which is uh, upsetting me. I haven't gotten my first gun yet,
Oh,
but
you
that's
don't you
because
don't even have
I got
one.
to do. Yeah, because I don't have my Texas license yet. Because
Uh,
nothing important, but just like I had my car registered in California already. I paid for it, but then I have to get my car registered here to get the license. So just I'm just waiting a little bit.
yeah. It's weird, right? Like I don't know if you actually went to their DMV or whatever, but the first time I went, I wanted the ID. They're like, "No, no, no, you got to register your car here first and then you can have the ID." And I was like, "That doesn't even make sense.
That
Why wouldn't I just get the ID
why isn't
first?"
it the other way around?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
why
what
isn't it the other way
I
around?
it's backwards, right? And then now I'm here and I still have my Texas plates on. I never swapped them out.
Yeah, so I'm opposite. I still have my Cali plates in.
Yeah. Man, nobody stopped me yet, so it's all right.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if you noticed this when you were here. Um, Police presence is a lot lower in Austin. I don't feel the presence as much. And I don't know if that's like necessarily a good or bad thing, but I mean, obviously, I live in a quiet neighborhood, so nothing really pops off. But like, I feel like I don't feel the someone watching my back in terms of like every time I'm driving, like, oh crap, there's another police officer right there tailing me. You know what I mean? Did you feel that or not really?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really see too many cops. I also, to be fair, like didn't have to leave like my 5 mile radius very often unless I was like doing something else. You know what I mean? Because like when
Okay,
you
well, how
live
about
like
this?
what?
I was gonna say, how about this? What about in OC? Do you feel a strong police presence in OC,
Hmm. I mean, I definitely
or do you
see
not
them
move?
around. I mean, I probably see them around more often than I saw them in Texas for sure.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's
Can
weird
I
because
see the
you,
one?
you see them more, but you feel a little bit more worried sometimes about some shit happening out here.
Absolutely. But can I tell you the one bad thing about Austin? Drivers. They suck here. Really, 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 really bad.
Do they?
Because I see a crash every other day. Like bad ones, like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, somebody ran into a flagpole.
Damn.
Or like two cars are in the ditch and it's 5 p.m. with sunlight out. Like, what are you guys doing? And I've noticed, like in LA, in California, people are bad drivers because
Yeah.
they're kind of obnoxious, right? They want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get to where they need to be, but that means it takes a little skill to maneuver your car.
Yeah.
Here in Austin, it's just like, oh, they're just dumb, slow drivers. It's really
Yeah.
it's like multiple conversations about this. It's like it's a little annoying, but if
Yeah.
that's the worst thing here so far, then I'll take it.
I mean, to be fair, when I moved there, we had the winter storm. So it was crazy. It was a crazy set of events, but we moved there and literally 2 days or a day or two after we got to Austin, we got COVID. So Mary went to Bath and Body Works and then she texted me. She's like, "Oh shit, I think I got COVID." I was like, "Why?" She's like, "I'm trying to smell the candles and I can't
And
smell
that's what it
anything."
is?
Huh?
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So she's at
I was
Bath and
like,
Body Works, and then it smells in there, and she's like, "I'm smelling these candles, and I can't smell shit." And I was like, "Maybe you should come home then." And then I remember my family is all worried about it. They're like, "Are you gonna quarantine from her?" I was like, "We live in a 1 bedroom apartment. I'm gonna get this shit." So, you know, we quarantined for like 2 weeks, and then right after that, it's like almost Valentine's Day. We had like some time for like 2 days, and then winter storm happens, and everything's frozen over. We lost running water for like 4 days. Bunch of other places lost electricity, and then I remember the first day when it was really like the winter storm. Like Texas is not equipped for that kind of cold or like snow. I guess it snowed like 6 inches. It wasn't that big of a deal, but the whole freeway was iced over, right? And so I'm driving from
Yeah.
like our house to the gym, and I was like, "Fuck, dude, I don't know. So I don't know if I should be doing this, but I'm
This,
already here, so I'm already on the
this,
way. So we're going." And then along the way, bro, I saw at least 12 spun out cars, and then on top of that, as I'm driving, I'm trying to get on the 35, and I see this car coming from behind me, and they're just like coming, and then they tap on their brake. I see them spin out, and then they're facing the wrong direction. They face the right direction, and then they fly past me. And I was like, bro, you just spun out. What are you doing? So I definitely get it. Austin drivers are not that great.
oh, but it's funny that you mentioned the winter storm because we dealt with that when we moved here too. Did you have to like wrap all your little
The
I don't even
pipe.
know what they're called, the little pipes in the back and keep the water running upstairs if you guys had an upstairs
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to make
Well,
sure things like didn't freeze?
we were in the apartment, so like we didn't have to like do the outside shit, but everybody said, like you got to leave the water running, got to leave the cabinet doors open so the heat comes in there. So yeah, I mean it's weird because you don't get that shit in California.
Dude, can I tell you? We were screwed the first couple of weeks, like 2, 3 weeks in here because it literally the winter front hit us, and our thermostat was hooked up to only Wi-Fi. You could only access it through Wi-Fi, and AT&T and Spectrum were just messing with us. They wouldn't come. We would schedule an appointment, they wouldn't come. So we didn't have our thermostat, which means we didn't have our heater. And I would say like for a solid 2.5 weeks, when it got cold, our house was like 50 degrees.
That's yeah. That's basically what
Yeah.
was happening like when we were there because we had people coming to our apartment complex and staying with our neighbors because they didn't have a heater. They didn't even have electricity, so they had like zero heat. And they're like, dude, our house is like 20 degrees right now. And I was like,
Wait,
that's horrible.
did you move the year like Texas kind of shut down because of the winter storm? Was it that
Yeah.
same year?
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind. You
Yeah.
had it way worse. I
Yeah.
just had a
So we
little
didn't
bit, but you had
have
it way.
yeah, our apartment complex ran out of running water for like 4 days. Which I didn't really think about, but I was like, they were like, fill up your bathtub. And I was like, why the fuck would I fill up my bathtub? We're not going to fucking take like 10 showers in this dirty bath water or whatever. And then come to find out, they want you to fill up the bathtub so you can flush your toilet because you need to be able to like put water in the back. And then when I realized that, I was like, "Fuck." So I spent all my time shoveling snow into our garbage cans and putting it and like melting it and like doing all that stuff. And then everybody was during that time in our apartment complex, everybody was taking their recycling bin, taking water from the pool, and then using that. And it was so bad that the apartment complex emailed us. They're like, please stop taking water from the pool before they break the pump. And everyone's like, I don't care. I like, I need to flush my toilet.
What we gotta do to survive here?
Yeah, dude, I was ready, man. I was ready to go full on Survivor, man. Like, I bought a bunch. I stayed on prep during that whole thing, like miraculously. Like, I had just bought food, and then while it was happening, I went to another grocery store. I was like, Ario, I gotta get salmon. I gotta do this, but I'm gonna be on track. And I was like, damn, shit's fucked right
You
now.
about this life?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
about this life?
Yeah, dude, it was crazy because they were like, you can only get one thing of water, and it was either you buy a 36 pack of water or you get a gallon. And I was like, well, I'm gonna get that 36 pack. What the fuck?
Oh, so I forgot you moved to Texas the say 2019, like during prep. I remember that you were moving all your shit while you were in prep. I was right. Is that right, or am I
Yeah, we
remembering that
moved in
wrong?
the beginning of 2021.
Oh,
I was prepping though, yeah, and I still like would fly back and I would go to my client
great.
shows and I was staying with Billy and stuff like that. Yeah, but I was like trying to prep that whole time, and it was shit.
It's a beast. Yeah, I would imagine. I remember you posting. I was like, man, how's he doing that? Because you were flying back and forth.
Yeah, it was pretty shitty, and that was the kind of the time where I was like, I'm about to get married. I don't want to fuck everything up, and then it all went downhill. But yeah, man. So appreciate you coming on. I got one last question for you. What's
Let's run it. Fire right.
what is some advice that you would give to someone who's interested in competing and becoming an IFBB pro eventually, or just an up and coming competitor?
One piece of advice: you just got to take this sport with baby steps. like we talked about, this it's such a marathon, and you have to just be patient and manage your expectations in terms of how you think things are going to go initially, right? Like unless you're the genetic elite, the 1%, even if you're pretty decent, like becoming a pro is freaking tough. And even if you have a perfect prep, you look really great, you don't know who's going to show up on show day. You can't plan for it, you can't expect it, and it's just you take your looks as they come. And if it's your day, then it's your day, and if it's not, then it's just back to the drawing board, and you work to get better and hope that next time the cards fall in your favor, and you get what you want out of it. But again, at the end of the day, just take it one baby step at a time and just work your ass off.
Is it worth it?
Not even a question. Come on. You know that. I know you're removed, but you asked me like, this is worth it. You know this
I know.
is
I
worth it.
just want to hear your opinion on it. I know it's worth it, especially right after you get it. You're like, everything that I just did for these last few years, it all paid off in one moment, and it's one of those crazy things.
Yeah. But now we got new goals. We got a new mountain to climb.
Yeah. Hey man. So, where can people find you?
Just Instagram. I don't do Twitter. I don't. We tried to do TikTok, and I was like, I'm good off that. I deleted in like a month. I only did it because of precision, but everyone else fell off. So I was just like, I'm good. So my Instagram's Sage Krishan _23. We might be starting up a YouTube soon, but that's kind of in the works with my lady. Outside of that, yeah, just plug in with me on Instagram.
Cool, man. Well, appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you having me, bro.